Hey, Spiritual Girls in a Material World with Kelly Sullivan Walden and Nancy T starts now.
Welcome to Spiritual Girls in a Material World, where we celebrate the bling, the ka-ching, and the gorgeousness, the magnificence in everything. And I do mean everything. I mean the things that are obviously easy and obvious to celebrate, and those things that are just a little like technical difficulties that we keep seeming to have
every time.
One of these days, and maybe we just need to celebrate the technical difficulties and everything, because it's all a work in progress and we're always fumbling toward ecstasy, as Sarah McLachlan would say.
Or the Cleveland Browns.
Or
they don't say ecstasy, but they're always fumbling. Well, we got it half right.
We got it half right. Okay, so today, 'tis the season to talk about Christmas and the holidays, and we'll try to be as politically correct as possible. But as it turns out, Nancy and I are both former Catholics or recovering Catholics, however you want to say that. So we definitely have Christmas in our body and in our blood. And we're going to talk about Christmas. What does Christmas mean to you? What makes a good Christmas? What makes a funky Christmas? What can you do to make your Christmas as awesome as possible, so that the external factors are very few, and the internal factors are something that are under your control, perhaps. And we're going to talk about the spiritual and the material significance of Christmas. So that's what I've got on my mind. So Nancy, let me start with you.
Okay.
What does Christmas mean to you? I mean, start anywhere. Spiritual, material, little kid.
I think I'll start with spiritual. I'll and it will come from the little kid in me, but still. You know what? I associate my dad with Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out when I was much older that my parents used to take out a loan every year for Christmas. And what they would do is they would take out the money. They'd buy their 6 daughters all their presents. And my mom was very much a stickler about spending the same amount on every child. And then we would, have our Christmas, this magnificent celebration. And then they'd pay off the loan throughout the year until the next.
Oh my God. Oh no, the internet froze. Is it me that froze, or is it you that froze? Nancy, help me, Nancy. Help me, Nancy. Help me, Nancy. Oh, I don't know. Hello. So wait a second. So I couldn't see you or hear you for like 2 minutes.
I know, because I disappeared. Ooh.
Oh.
I went into a Christmas haze. How do I sound?
Oh my God. Okay.
I'm using the right microphone. Okay. I think that's good. All right.
Okay. So pick up where the last thing I heard was they paid off the loan throughout every year.
That's what they did.
And you never knew that until when?
I didn't know that until, I don't know. I would just maybe 10 years ago, recent. I was an adult. I was fully an adult. Well, quote unquote adult.
Right. With air quotes around it.
Yeah, with air quotes. But there was something about for my parents, and I know this sounds like it's the material side, but really this is the heart for me. My parents, they had 6 daughters, and they couldn't always be buying something for us at all times. So this was their chance to just make us like, woo, looky, happy day. And there's so much for everyone, but it meant so much to them. And to think that they just wanted to give us that once a year, to celebrate the whole Santa's coming to town. It warms my heart. It makes it so important. We would go out and we'd get a tree, and here in Ohio we have snow, so it really felt like Charlie Brown's Christmas when you're looking through
out and like get a tree and chop it down.
No. They were already chopped. You go to these lots where they have the trees and stuff, but you would love it. I mean, in the snow, I'm sure you would think it was magical. It was just, and you could smell that pine scent, and we would put the skirt around the bottom, and everybody would put the ornaments on, and there was nobody that was super anal and expected it to look a certain way. So it was just joy. And There's
And
something
you're the
so
baby, so you had
yeah,
your five older sisters, and so you must have been like that must have been special for you because everyone treats the baby extra special at Christmas, don't
for
they?
sure. I don't know if I noticed that because you don't notice this. I'm whatever, but I know that I'd have my pile of toys, my pile of gifts, and I would be so darn excited about it. And to this day, I still love opening presents, and I just love that. And there's something about it is the surprise of it and everything. But we would go to church together as a family and celebrate at mass. And always we weren't just Christmas and Easter Catholics. We were Catholics every Sunday. So that where we lived, it was a small town, and we were a very large family, and all these you'd see these big large families like the pillars of the community, and we'd all trail in with our 8 people, and they trail in with their 10 and that 7, and it was like, oh, here come the Torquatos, and we were just a few
Give
minutes
them an
late.
aisle, give them a whole row. Row the
Yep.
turkey.
Yep, and it was just a few minutes late every time, but it was so special. And
Oh,
I gotta say, as much as I realized it then, I didn't realize it till my dad died. Christmas was different. There was a different feeling. There was something missing, and it was like he brought the spirit of Saint Nick with him or something. He brought this spirit, and it was very different. From then on. But when I think of Christmas, I think of my parents giving us this special day and just for us to be kids, never thinking, the beauty of it is they didn't think about whether or not, were realizing that they had money or didn't have money, or they didn't think of anything. They just hid that from us. So it was not a thought. It was just Santa's here. Yay, we got these presents. That's wonderful. We had no idea. And I love that wasn't our burden, our guilt, or anything. It was just joy. So it was pretty
wow.
beautiful
Wow. Do you
with
think
decorations.
that's part of where, because I think in the 7 love languages, gifts are one of your love languages, and words of affirmations
Yeah. But
are.
actually, gifts aren't.
No,
As much
no,
as I love it, they don't come high on the scale.
really? Where do they
Isn't that
come
funny?
in the scale?
They're lower. They're
Okay.
lower because I'm such a words person, and the physical closeness, and quality
Time.
Yeah, those are my big ones,
Acts of service.
but that's last, acts of service. So,
Oh,
as
that's
much
my
as I
first
love
one.
it, if somebody that's your first one, see? Yes,
And words of affirmation.
yeah, words. Don't
And I
words
think
mean everything?
quality time, I really love that too. But
Sorry.
I'll take a good act of service.
So wait, there are 5 love languages.
Oh, right, not the 7 love languages.
There are
Okay,
5
acts of service,
acts of service,
words of affirmation, physical touch,
closeness,
gifts,
gifts.
and one that probably we don't know about. Oh, wait, the service, acts of, I'm positive, and quality time.
Which we get to spend before each one of these shows when we have our technical difficulties. But
Yeah, exactly.
But that was the other part of Christmas, quality time, actually.
Quality
We talked
time.
about that.
Because nobody else does anything. I mean, except for like all the food is made and there you are.
Yeah. Mom would make a lot of the food and stuff, but it was just like when we did Christmas, I mean, I'd run upstairs, mostly me, and sometimes my older sister Jennifer. We'd run and try to wake our parents up at 6 a.m. They're like, we're trying to sleep. It was like, we got to open these presents because at my house, under the tree, there was just this mass amount. You could get down the stairs and the whole front room was taken up with presents.
Oh
I'm still excited. I think about that.
Yeah.
And it was so fun. And we didn't do some people like we open one and everybody stares at you. We didn't do that. It was a free for all, man. It's like, thank you. Oh my God, I love this. And if you heard someone scream extra, you look at that person, but otherwise you're just ripping yours out. And I know that sounds crazy, but it was so fun.
So what have you done like since your dad passed away, and that was how many years ago?
1998.
Whoa.
So
Okay, that's almost 20 years.
Almost 20, yeah.
So 19 years. So what have you done to make Christmas special? Has it ever been that special since, or is it just do you find a different way?
It's just different. And it's never been quite like that since. It's okay, this is going to sound awful, and yet I'll say it.
And yet,
I'm divorced.
that
And
sounds awful.
I
No, it
know.
doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Because no one's divorced, right? But no, that's not the bad part. It wasn't great, but still. But because of that, when you're divorced and you're single, sometimes you never get to experience that same gift giving thing. Like it's like when you're married, like you have somebody that's going to kind of hook you up like that or do that, or it's like, but if you don't have someone, if you're by yourself, and so it can just be like, oh, it's Christmas. And it unfortunately, now, due to the fact that in my whole life, it was gifts, all these gifts, that spelled caring to me for that holiday.
Right.
That when it happens where it was like, wow, it's Christmas and I might not get a darn thing, or maybe I'll, it just feels like you can tell yourself bad stories. So,
Aww.
you know what I mean?
What do you do to keep from telling yourself bad stories, or to stay in a buoyant?
Well, I think I kind of got over the whole, I'm never going to walk into a room with a tree and there'll be a million gifts and 20.
Did you do that for Cassie?
Yes. Yes, for my daughter, I made sure we got a tree until we got to a place where we weren't allowed to have a tree. Because it was like we lived in an apartment.
You couldn't get a tree in an apartment?
And not a real tree. And I will not get a fake tree. So I did this thing with wrapping paper on the wall. I cut it out and did these little triangles, and I made it a tree like that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. I was like, if it's not going to be real and it's going to be fake, it's going to be really fake. Get it? Really fake.
Or instead of thinking of it as fake, think of it as environmentally friendly.
100%.
Right.
But that smell of pine and everything, it was just sweet.
Yeah.
So Christmas, tell me about your Christmases and how
I always loved Christmas. I have this very vivid memory of being bundled up in the back of the car. We lived in LA, so it was never that cold, but still I had like a ski jacket on, and my sisters and I bundled up in the back seat of the car and driving down Lollipop Lane in Huntington Park where we lived. There was like a street that was like a designated Christmas light street.
And it was called Lollipop Lane?
That's what they called it. No, I mean, that was just what they called it during Christmas. But there were these lollipops, these gigantic lollipops that were lit up. And I can still remember going, oh my God. Oh my God.
The joy, right?
And just it was like I must have been 3 or 4. It was like the first time that I really recognized Christmas, and it was the lights that completely enchanted me, and I felt like I was in just a magical realm. And I remember somebody giving me a snow globe, and there's a song that somebody wrote later about, I wish I lived in a snow globe, but it was like, I used to go, I wish I lived in there. Oh.
And I did. How funny.
And somebody gave me I don't know who it was, but there was like one of those, how many days of Christmas? When do you start the countdown of Christmas?
The 12 days of Christmas.
The 12 days? God, it seemed like 150 days of Christmas. There was all these little windows that I would open each day.
Yes.
And it seemed like it took forever.
Oh, wait, you're talking about like, is that are you thinking of an advent calendar?
Maybe, but it was like, there'd be some little thing, some little like reindeer that would pop its head out, or some little candle that would be in the, it was like, what's going to be? It seemed like it took forever for Christmas to come. And now as an adult, it's like, Christmas is here? What? Wait, what?
Crap.
What? Oh, it's over? What? Oh, okay. Again, here it is. Like, I've never caught up, but we also had lots of presents, and I mean, there was always just like the mad mayhem Christmas wrapping. I was always the kid to I was always the slowpoke when it came to opening presents because I wanted it to last as long as possible. It was always really disappointing to me when it was like, there's no more presents. What? I've been looking under all the trash. Like, it's Orver. That was like it's Orver? I have to wait 364 more days. Oh God, the 12 days were unthinkable. So I would literally be everyone would be yelling at me, Kelly, hurry up, open it, time for dinner. So I'm like, just one more little, because I wanted to savor every moment. And I'm still like that. I am still the most annoying person at Christmas.
That's sweet. That's a sweet reason to be slow, though. It's not like, the people that don't like to open at all. So they're just sitting there. And it's just, oh, come on, open, rip it open. I mean, I'm the first to go over then. Let me help you. I don't care if it's golf clubs. We'll never golf. I want to open them. But yeah.
I think what has Christmas be special? I think as an adult, I was thinking about this. Okay, Christmas is a noun, a proper noun. But it's also a verb and it's also an adjective. I feel throughout the year, I'll go, oh, that's so Christmassy. I feel so Christmassy right now. Or that's so Christmas-like of you. Or let's Christmas out. Like it's a verb. It's and so I think there's some part of me. Here's the little strange little brain of mine. I think because there were Christmases that were better than others, and the ones that weren't were maybe because there was too much of an emphasis on presents and maybe not getting the right present, or somebody not liking something that I got them, or somebody having a pout about something. Or in my mind, I've always thought I'm going to add up Christmas moments before Christmas even happens. So I always say, oh, I already got my Christmas. Like, oh my God, that sunset was... I already got my Christmas. Or at breakfast this morning, we have Dana and I are hosting Luke from Luke and the Lovingtons, and we sat around and had this amazing conversation about life and waking up and being alive while you're alive and not saving it until you get there, and there's no there. I mean, it was like, and so I had this thought, literally, I got my Christmas this morning. So even if Christmas doesn't, like the actual day, there can be pressure put on that day, like everything better be perfect. Even if it's not, I feel like, oh, I've already gotten 25 Christmases this year or 100 Christmases. So it's okay
That's nice.
If the day has a glitch or a flaw or a flat tire or a whatever.
Where will you go for Christmas?
Up until last year was the first year that we didn't celebrate with my grandma. So my grandma Sullivan was like the one that Christmas has always revolved around. And she passed away at age 92. It was October 2016. I'm bad with numbers, as you know, 2016.
Yeah.
So, so the interesting thing is, I mean, grandma was like Christmas. And all my cousins and uncles from all over the place, everyone would come to wherever grandma was, which was usually at her house. And my two sisters live with her. And so that was always like the place for Christmas. It's a big house and always room for everybody and tons of space and tons of food and all that. And last year was the first year she wasn't with us. So it was very odd because she died pretty close to Christmas, but we still rallied around and kind of kept things as close as possible to what we normally did. But this year, I think everything's going to be at my house. We did Thanksgiving at my house for the first time, and I loved it.
Wow.
I loved it. It was really sweet because we live in the woods. It's kind of as close to cabiny, quaint, as it gets. We used to always go to my Uncle John's cabin for Thanksgiving and sometimes for Christmas. And it did have a little snow every once in a while. So this feels like I'm really excited. I'm hoping it looks like we're going to be celebrating Christmas at my house this year.
Oh my gosh.
I'm really excited, and maybe I'll get a real tree, even though I've been one of those people that has had a fake tree because I didn't want to chop down a tree.
But see here, they're already all chopped. There's a bunch chopped. So then you feel like you're rescuing it from sitting out there by itself. Or with those
Right.
other trees, it could be with a person. Wouldn't
That's
you rather
true.
be with people?
That's true. That's true. Okay, so as we begin to wrap this up, because I think we've been,
Yeah.
I mean,
We got about a minute. Yeah.
I think we covered the spiritual and the
I
material.
think we kind of did. And I want to just bring up one Christmas song
Yeah.
because you reminded me of it.
Oh, are you going to
We
sing it?
sang- Well, not really. When we were in high school, there was this song called, it was all about Uncle John. And it was
Oh,
Throw the Yule log on Uncle John. But the whole thing was just, the whole song itself is kind of funny and all the lyrics, and I can't remember all of it. But when you said that, I was like, throw the Yule log down on Uncle John. Yeah, that's where you were.
so
And wherever you are, there's a Yule log burning, right?
that's so cute. Okay, so I'm going to sing you a little song that we would always sing, and it's very off color. And I think
love
my
that.
grandma would appreciate it. And you might know the lyrics, so maybe you could join me. Goes a little something like this. Grandma got run over by a reindeer walking home from our house Christmas Eve. Now you can say there's no such thing as Santa, but as for me and Grandpa, we believe. Ooh,
Oh, we believe, and that's our timer.
I got the chill.
I know, so did I.
Okay,
Merry Christmas,
well,
everyone.
bring us out. Oh, let's ask. Okay, everybody,
Oh no, there's more.
here.
I just
Tell
was
us
like,
how
"I'm out."
what are some of your best Christmas memories? Like, what makes Christmas for you? Is it the food? Is it church? Oh yeah, I forgot to say, we used to always go to Christmas midnight mass. That was like, such a staple.
Yes.
So what are the things that you do that make Christmas feel like Christmas? And what are the things that you can do to make sure that you have the feeling and the spirit of Christmas, even if things externally don't behave themselves, or people don't behave themselves, or who knows? So what can you do to make this the best Christmas yet?
And I've got some questions for you too.
Oh.
I want you, when you watch this video, since we're not live, and we will be one day. I mean, we're live, unlive, but we're anyway. But since we aren't live yet, when you watch this video in the comments, will you say where you're watching from? Because I want to know where you're celebrating your Christmas. So let us know what city you're in.
Or Kwanzaa, or Hanukkah,
Oh, yes.
or whatever else you do.
I only know Kwanzaa and Hanukkah and Christmas. So if you do something else, like maybe you do Festivus for the rest of us, it's okay. Or maybe you like to sit and read a book and be like, I'm not about any of that. But just tell us where you're watching from, because I'm always curious who's watching from where.
And what you're wearing. Or not.
Speaking of wearing, yes, exactly. Are you cute? I bet you are. All right. Well, we're going to head on out. If you want to like our page, we would love that. That's Spiritual Girls in a Material World. And if you want to see more of Kelly Sullivan Walden or Nancy Telzero, we're both on Facebook, and you can go to our private pages, or you could go to our public pages. There's A to Z with Meryl and me, and there's Kelly Sullivan Walden, Doctor spelled out Dream. How about that? Namaste. Namasko.
Namasko.